Right, hello everyone, my channel Lex Originality, and today it's my first car related video since I started driving. Today I'm going to be giving you a quick buyer's guide on the Mark 1 Ford Ka, because that's the correct pronunciation. The Mark 1 Ford Ka was introduced in October of 1996 and produced until, I believe, June of 2008. And this one, as you can see, which is mine, is from the last year of production. This is my first car. I bought it for £580. And I'm going to be showing you what to look out for if you plan to pick one up. Maybe you need one as a cheap runaround, or maybe you're looking for your first car. So we'll start at the front and make our way around. To begin with, these badges can fade. As you can see, my one's completely gone and it's dirty. From what I've heard, they're not too hard to replace, but I mean, like this, it really can ruin the look of the car for some people. The headlights can mist up, like here, as you can see. This one's badly fitted. As you can see, the finish here is not flush between the bonnet. And what will happen is water will just come through the back of here, and it will mist up the headlight cluster. These bumpers on the side can badly fit, like on my one. I believe that this wing at some point was taken off, and it was badly put back on, because as you can see, if I push it up, that's fine, it goes up, but as soon as I let go, it pops right back out. And speaking of that, if you hit something with this car, like if you clip a post, like one of the previous owners did here, the clips on the side of here will all break off, and you will need to buy replacement ones. You can buy them from Halfords for about £3 a packet, and you get 5 in each. Let's see, these trim pieces here for the door / wing mirror can sometimes be a bit loose. On this side they're fine, but on the other side, as you can see, it's a bit flimsy. Not too much of a pain. I'm pretty sure you can replace them pretty easily. Door handles can squeak because they are made of plastic, as I'll show on my one. You can hear that squeaking there as I use it. These wheel covers can chip away pretty easily. They're not very good quality. And also another thing is, because there's no bump strips on the car, if something hits it, you will have a pretty nasty dent on the side like this one. And if you look closely, if I can focus the camera, it is starting to rust there. So when you're viewing one of these cars, make sure, or try to make sure, that it has as little dent as possible, because since it doesn't have the bump strips on the side of the doors, it can get dented pretty easily. Next, the rear badges can also fade. This one, same story as the front, they're both faded. There can be rust around the rear wiper, like here. I'm not advertising these guys at all, I don't even know them. The panel gaps on the rear bumpers can be a bit wide. As you can see here, that's pretty big for just a panel gap between a bumper and a light cluster. And because of that, dirt will get through here, and it can also get into the boot. And the main issue on the Ford Ka is rust around the fuel filler. As you can see, there's bubbling here, and there's a little bit of rust showing there. The problem is, as you can see, around the filler, there is nothing stopping any ingress of dirt around there. So what will happen is, the wheels will splash up water and mud, and then the water and mud and leaves or anything will just sit in there, like that. And that's what's going to start rusting your filler, and also the panel around here. That's important to look at on these cars, because if you want to replace that, you will need to have a professional cut this panel out, weld a new one in, and paint it in the correct color. And it can be a pain because the fuel tank has to come out. I believe that's everything for the exterior. Now let's go inside. There's that squeaky door handle again. Okay, so in the interior of the Ford Ka, there's not much that goes wrong, but I'll give you anything I remember off the top of my head. Let's see. This panel here can move about a little bit, like on my one. I don't know if you can see that, but there we go. It is moving a tiny bit, and it can rattle at higher speeds. But in my car, it's not too bad yet. And besides, I plan to get rid of this car at the end of the year. This trim piece here on the top of the gear stick can come off. On my car, it looks like it has been off. I mean, look, this is the middle, and there's a gap here, and no gap there, and a gap here. So it's almost as if it's sliding off. The cigarette lighters can play up. On my car, it's sort of working, but not really. And in case you need to rewire it, all it is 4 screws, 2 here and 2 at the top, and the whole ashtray comes out. Let me see. If you have an aftermarket radio fitted here, they'll have an aftermarket panel like this one, and as you can see, they're not the best of quality. So what you're going to want to do is get some really strong glue or some adhesive and stick it to the dashboard so it stays nice and flush. Anything else? Oh yeah, another important thing is, in the rear, the windows pivot open, and so what that can do is, because they pivot open, the weathering seals on the side of those windows can fail, and on my car they have failed. As you can see, these are the pivot open style windows. Every single Ford car has them, and what will happen is these seals, most likely here at the bottom, will just go, and when that happens, after a rainy day or after your car's misted up, water will pool in this area here, and it will drip down the side here. It won't cause your car any harm, but it will mist up your windows pretty quickly. Let's see, is there anything else I can remember that goes wrong in the interior? There's not that much that goes wrong with these cars. They hold up pretty well, to be honest with you. I mean, as you can see in my one, we have aircon, a rear fog light, heated front and rear windscreens, and the rear windscreen button also includes the door mirrors, so it heats them up too. Air recirc, and you know, a good range of settings for where you want the air to go. You get a snazzy clock, and on my one, no rev counter, interestingly. And also, speaking of rev counter, when you start these cars, make sure that there is no rattle from cold. So we'll do that now. And also, obviously, make sure that the ABS, I will do that again. Make sure that when you turn the key on, make sure that your airbag and your ABS light both go out, to make sure, so that will indicate there's no faults. And when you start the car from cold, make sure there's no loud rattle, because that could indicate that some of the previous owners have used bad quality oil and the timing chain might be damaged. So we'll do that now. There we go on my one, nice and quiet. And that brings me on to another point. Some previous owners, most owners, let's be honest, don't really maintain the gearbox oil. And what will happen is, when you're driving the car, when you're accelerating, the car can whine in first and second gear. And that can be annoying. And if it's not sorted in the long run, it can harm your gearbox. So I recommend that you stay, that from time to time you check the gearbox oil on these cars if you buy one. And my one's relatively low miles. Right, I'm just questioning if there's anything else that goes wrong with these cars. Okay, so I believe on some of the richer trim levels, you've got a button here that opens the boot. There's two ways to open it. You can either open it via this button, or you can open it with the key. So if your car has this button, make sure that it opens the boot. So as you can hear on my car, it opened, and I'll show you the boot. Okay, don't mind all the crap in the boot, but an important thing with these cars is the spare wheel normally is located under the car. And what happened to me was, I was driving along and the spare wheel opened during driving, and the spare wheel fell out. So I had to stop, and I decided to put it in the boot to stop that happening again. So when you're buying the car, make sure that the spare wheel well here, that's the bottom of it, is tightly secured. On my car, it really isn't. So if you buy the car, ensure that it's tightly secured if you want to keep your spare wheel in under the car. Right, and that's pretty much everything for the Ford car as a buyer's guide. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're planning to pick one of these up as your first car, I highly recommend it. They are very fun to drive, they're pretty good on fuel, and they're much more spacious than you think. I mean, I am 6 foot and I have plenty of headroom in this car. So Like I said, if you're thinking of picking one of these up, they are stupidly cheap to buy. You can buy a relatively good example for about £500. This one, like I said, I bought for £580, and it's my first car. But I will be selling it on at the end of the year because I do not plan to keep this car for much longer. Or if you want it as a cheap daily, it will serve that job very well as well. So yeah, I hope that this can help guide you in in what car you want to purchase in the future. So thanks for watching and goodbye.